Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining here at Unapologetically Progressive. If you like the content here, please hit that like button, share the content, and leave a comment down below as engagement drives viewership here at Unapologetically Progressive. Thank you for watching. Now let's get right into it. Now, there's been a lot of talk of tariffs lately. And you see this little graph I have here beside me. Now, this graph shows you with the little red line what China was charging on tariffs of U.S. imports into China. And the blue line shows U.S. tariffs that the U.S. was charging on products being imported into the U.S. Right? And as you see, we were a little bit behind China on tariffs. Now, that's just right as Joe Biden left office. Within a week or so of Joe Biden leaving office, though, these tariffs changed. The U.S. added a 10% tariff under Donald Trump onto the already existing 20% tariff. Then a month later, Donald Trump added an extra 10% on top of that, making it 40% tariffs. And so they were sitting at 24%, and we were charging them 40% on goods imported into the U.S. Then last week, right, Trump added 34% more on to what we had, right? So 74% on Chinese imports into the U.S. And businesses are going to start to hurt when those go into effect tomorrow, right? But the thing is, Beijing hit the U.S. with their own tariffs of 34% to match what Trump had hit China with. And now neither party is backing down. But today, Donald Trump escalated it even further, claiming he's going to put an additional 50% in tariffs on China, making their overall tariffs roughly 124%. It was already set to be, astronomical to begin with. But now it's going to be even worse. The thing is, Congress could stop this. Congress could step in and take back their authority. But the Republicans refuse to. But there are a few Republicans that are standing up against these tariffs because they know it's a bad idea too. You got billionaires coming out saying it's a bad idea, and now you have Rand Paul on the Senate floor calling for an end of these tariffs, saying as much as he supports Donald Trump, he cannot support this. Now, he disagrees. He has an issue with them on a different basis than I do. His issue is the fact that it's a tax in general at all. And my issue isn't that. My issue is the simple fact that it's going to wreak havoc on the American consumer. But 124% tariffs. Now, does that even sound fair at all? Now, if he had stuck with something that left it under 50%, I don't think most Americans would be complaining about the rates and stuff. I wouldn't have been completely against tariffs on China being a little higher than they were, at least to match whatever they were doing. Right? I get that. But tariffs in general are a bad idea. All they do is make products cost more for your consumers in your country. They make the importers pay more taxes. These taxes are not paid by the other governments. These taxes aren't going to be paid by China. They're being paid by American importers. They are the ones that are charged for these taxes, not China. We don't send a tax bill to Beijing and say, please pay out. Right? That's not how it works. But unfortunately, Trump doesn't understand how tariffs work. He still thinks that it's another country paying the United States. But that's not it. That's not how they work. Now, you can disagree with me all you want, but the facts are what they are. Tariffs are inherently bad for your economy. Tariffs are inherently bad for your consumer. your small businesses, especially your elderly and disabled people that live on fixed incomes. These prices are not going to go well for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to lose their shirts over this. And I know what a lot of you are going to say. A lot of people are going to say, well, why don't they just, make stuff in America? That's just it. We don't have the infrastructure anymore to make a whole lot of stuff. Under the Biden administration, we brought back a lot of manufacturing jobs, some 850,000 of them, and brought back jobs in the steel industry. But there's only so much we have infrastructure for anymore. And yeah, we could rebuild that infrastructure, but you can't rebuild it overnight. Plus, a lot of products are going to be way more expensive if you buy them here, if they get made here in the U.S. for the U.S. consumer. Your cell phones, for example. Those of you that are out there, buying the hoity-toity, iPhone Max, for example. You're already paying close to $1,500 for the phone? Expect that to almost double as they're being charged 100+% in tariffs. Expect to be paying closer to $2,500 for that phone next year if these tariffs remain. If you rely on some kind of good that comes from there, say a wheelchair part or something, you're SOL. Those prices are going to be even higher. That's also going to cost us Medicaid in the states to pay more money for wheelchair parts and things like that we don't produce here because we don't have facilities and the infrastructure to build those things. Once again, those are things we could work towards doing. How about we build the infrastructure and ensure that the infrastructure is here before we start demanding things be made here? There are plenty of places where things can be turned into factories. You got dead malls across America where there's nothing in them. You could literally take those buildings down. You got old football and baseball stadiums that are just sitting there decaying that aren't doing anything for some cities right now. Do the same thing. Tear them down. Build a factory. Put people to work. Great. But how about we actually take the time to make the incentives for the businesses to want to build these things in the first place? Government demanding that businesses build factories is kind of tyrannical, if you ask me. It's tyrannical to sit there and demand that businesses do exactly what you want them to. I believe the only thing that the government should be doing is collecting taxes from a business. Other than that, besides some regulations that protect consumers, I don't think there's a lot else that should be done. I think for the most part, businesses should be left alone. One or two things that I would make an amendment to that statement would be the fact that, consumer protections, and I don't want the environment being destroyed. It's that simple. Now, what do you think? Do you think 124% tariffs are actually reasonable? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, I hope you are having a great day. I'll see you down the road. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.